Hey everybody, Steph here with another video that's from the Easy Project series. This one is working with fusing face down on a shelf and a checkerboard pattern. You can see that the amount in both of these is not the same. It's because I've got 5 squares of red that have been poorly cut that I am going to try and work into my pattern for fun. They're left over from Use-A-Palooza in October, and I wanted to implement them in so my checkerboard wasn't totally boring. Also, there's a bonus second project if you wait until the end of the first one, and that one may have something to do with Tetris. Anyway, let's start with the first one. You are going to need one 5-inch piece of glass that you're going to cap with. I'm using clear because my pieces are transparent. These pieces are transparent, and I want to be able to see the color. And then you're going to need 25 squares. In this case, they're 25 1-inch squares. I did 12 black, 8 white, and 5 red because the idea I have is a red diagonal on either side with black, white, black, white. And so that works out to being slightly uneven. So let's get started. I am building on a kiln shelf. I don't usually build on a kiln shelf because I like to work on my turntable, but in this case, we are going to be firing kiln shelf down and then flipping and firing into a bowl. And I will show you what happens when you don't fire kiln shelf down. You don't get as crisp lines, but rather than tell you that, I have a little sample right here that I will fuse down, that I will glue down and fuse, and you will be able to see the difference between it and my piece that's fused face down. So to start, I am going to lay these out in a diagonal, and I'm working in the corner. It'll be kind of hard for you to see part of it because I do need to use this kiln shelf for other things. And like I said, I wanted to do black on either side to kind of highlight the red. I thought the white would look too washed out. And these cut lines are awful, and they're going to show on the other side. So be very careful when you cut, and don't use grossing pliers like I did. Cut right the first time. They were something like 1/8 of an inch too big. And the grossing pliers, no matter what I did, just by the time I cut my lines, they were starting to fall apart. And it was awful. And yeah. So learn from my fail, folks. I'll put this one on the outside with its weird little nub. And there we go. And this is, of course, red striker, so it will get deeper and prettier as it gets fired. So there we go. That's 3 of the 10 layers. The next one is white. Again, you can see how this is not perfect. It's not going to come out very well. You really need to be careful when you cut. Unfortunately, my table is not great for that. I love it, but it's got a slight angle to it. So, also, if you need to, look around for slightly bigger pieces that will fill in what you need. Nothing says that piece absolutely has to go right in the spot that you don't like. So adjust, and then back to black. AC/DC's Back in Black comes to mind. I used to wake up to that album when I was in college. One of the neighbors played it at the same time every day. And I woke up to Hell's Bells every day for 2 weeks. I was so glad when we moved. But there we go. And the last 2 are white. So, ba-dum and ba-dum. And I like that. I mean, in theory, you could cut yourself an equal number of black and whites and then randomly intersperse the red through the piece as you wished. I just thought a diagonal line would be kind of fun. Now we see the top just fits. That's perfect. What I am going to do, though, is use, not with yellow on it. That would ruin it. Well, it wouldn't ruin it, but it would look funny on the back. Is I am going to put a swirly, and I'll show you when I'm done, of glass tack gel. Again, don't have to use glass tack gel. You can use whatever works for you. But I would put a fair amount on your piece, flip it over, and set it down carefully. Now, one thing I do usually keep on hand is a paintbrush. Nothing else, you can use the bottom of the paintbrush to tap your pieces into place. And then I just carefully arrange that top piece. And then I'm going to do this piece here, because that way you can see what it looks like when a piece is fused face up. Why am I holding it? Sorry folks, it was a long December. I am not really with it. But there we go. It is on. That has a weird edge, so we're going to flip it. There. That looks pretty neat and tidy, doesn't it? I'll pull it up where you can see. Anyway, I'm going to fuse these and come back and show you what they look like. And we can, well, have kind of a one-sided, since it's me talking, discussion on fusing face down versus fusing face up. And if you want to see me do one where I put the squares and then put a clear on top, I guess you'll be able to see squares with a clear on top with this, because we'll have the top of it and then we'll be able to flip it over and look. So I'm going to fuse these and then come back and we'll see what they look like as a blank. And then I'll show you the finished piece, and then we'll get moving on the Tetris piece, which is not really an easy project. It does require more than a handful of colors, but if you've got some scrap glass, it's a great way of using it up. Okay, I have both the sample and the checkerboard pattern fused. Before I show them to you, I do have a request. Could you hit like on this video if you have been so far interested in it? It helps me out with the YouTube algorithm and getting me seen to more people. Now, on with the fuses. This is the piece that I fused face up. These squares are on top of a bed of clear, and you can see here, if I bring it close enough, in the center they don't really match up well, and actually, as I play with it, there's a little hole right there, because they did not match up well. You can see it a little more obviously here. Looks nice enough for, say, a magnet, but I wouldn't want to do these with the thumb on top all the time, because here's the piece that I fused with the clear cap, and this is what happens when you turn it over. The lines are far sharper. Just a sec. Pardon me. The lines are far sharper, and you can see where they intersect, where things stay a lot crisper than they do even on this side, and definitely more than they do on this side. These were all 1-inch squares too, and you can see how much difference there is just by doing this. Oh, there we go, like this. You can see the difference. Now, one thing I did do that screwed up here that you'll want to learn from my fail is I didn't use a perfectly smooth kiln shelf. I did have kiln fire on it, or kiln shelf paper on it. I used thin fire. But this one is a little bit rough from a set of dots I made that stuck. And as a result, I've got thin fire in holes where the roughness of the shelf came through. So learn from my fail. Don't do this. Use a perfectly smooth surface. If you've got glass stuck on it, take a paint scraper or a putty knife and gently go over the top of your surface to get a smooth surface, and then apply fresh kiln wash, and then apply your fusing paper if that's what you want to use. Now I'm going to slap this into the 5-inch Delphi Slumper mold that makes bowls, and I'll come back with the finished product. Okay, so here is the finished piece. I'm not in love with it because it did not slump fully. It does not have a flat bottom, so it rocks. Spins, yay. I think it's because it's opals on the sides and only transparent in the middle. It did not have enough to sag. The other bowl I did at the same time, which is this one, smack, did get the flat, so it could also be the location of where I put it in my kiln. I might actually take this one and slump it into a 5-inch plate. And if I can find that mold, like in the previous video, I will link it down below. One thing it did do was it caught the edges of my 5-inch Delphi Slumper, and it's rough. I'll need to take a hand pad to this. So it definitely slumped there, but it didn't get hot enough or long enough, one or the other, or both, to make a flat bottom. Still, I love this sort of idea, and as a test piece to show you, this worked out pretty well. So, as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. And if you don't mind and you could throw me a subscribe, I'd love it. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. I'd love it by my birthday, which is again in February, but if not, hopefully by April or May. Thanks again. Hey everybody, Steph here. I know you're wondering where the second part of the video is that I promised I'd make for the cutting with squares, and it's not coming yet. I do promise to make it, but I had a hiccup in early January. Some of you may know me personally, know that I live with my grandmother, who is my adopted mother, and my wife and I have been caregiving for her for 12 years, along with other members of the family. And she passed away on the 4th of January, thankfully in her sleep, but everything is in a tizzy. And honestly, except for videos that I absolutely have to get out, like the one next week involving squares that was already mostly filmed, I'm not doing a whole lot. I'm making a whole pile of hearts to give away at her memorial and running a Kickstarter, and that's about all I've got the energy for right now. So the second part is coming. It's going to be a Tetris style plate, and I'll get it done in a month or two. Right now I'm asking for some patience and understanding. Thank you. Hey, it's Steph, and I appreciate you watching my video. YouTube will recommend another one down below, so if you want to keep watching, just click on it.